919. You're listening to 919. 919 has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, programming that is not harmful to children and that does not amount to hate speech, or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think we're not living up to that code, you can inform the BCCSA. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa to PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. Or email the BCCSA at napsa.co.za. For more information, visit the bccsa.co.za. We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnerine is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for reality radio as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. My name is Jack Devnerine. This is 919 and you're listening to Reality Radio. It's as real as it gets every Friday night when we have a guest live in studio and we talk about the incredible stories that shaped their remarkable lives. Tonight, what a pleasure to have a real activist in studio as my special guest. She is an environmental activist, also somebody fighting for climate change. She is the Education Associate for Food and Trees for Africa. She is Bharathi Tugh. Welcome, Bharathi.
Good evening, Jack and listeners. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
So good to see you. I know you're always busy. You come up to Joburg every once in a while. Not very often, right?
Yes, we do. We come up for family and to network as well as to meet our staff. We have our head office in Galamana.
So when you talk about your staff and your team, this is Food and Trees for Africa?
Yes.
Okay. So I understand this is your uniform.
Yes, my grandson really appreciates. He believes his grandmother goes to school because she wears a uniform. And we proudly wear our uniform.
Yeah.
And I think today is a momentous occasion for the organization. Our ED, Mr. Chris Wild, celebrates 10 years at the helm of the organization.
Wonderful. Congratulations to him.
Yes, and Chris has led with distinction, purpose, and vision as well.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, this is a non-governmental organization that's in existence for how long now?
34 years.
Really? 34 years. And Chris has been there for the last 10?
10. Chris started in the trenches, as it were.
Yeah.
He was a facilitator, has come through the rungs, and now he's leading with dignity and purpose.
You know, this is so typical of you. You know, I make you my special guest. You come to my radio show and you start talking about somebody else. Now, when can we start talking about you?
We can start now.
Okay, good.
We can start now.
I love that. So, your journey into this area of environmental activism, climate change, it starts off with you being an educator, though.
Yes, which was 4 decades ago. It started initially at a primary school.
Yeah.
I was teaching in a school that was based in Chatsworth. And the community of Chatsworth were relocated to the area. And when I started teaching at the school, the spirit of the community and the learners was heartening and it was inspiring in the way they engaged with their children's education.
Yeah.
And education is beyond merely teaching a syllabus. So the learners were involved in extracurricular activities, and the warmth with which I was received in that community encouraged me to extend beyond the fences of the school. So we established an environmental club. The learners then embarked on activities. The community came together.
Yeah.
We started off with a cleanup operation.
Oh, that's amazing.
Aesthetic pride needed to be established.
Yeah.
And then it was little activities. For example, Horsall started adopting the verges. There was an open space where our learners needed to walk through. You come all spruced up with shoes polished, neat socks and shoes, but you're walking through bush to get to school. So together with the community, we cleaned up and engaged with the municipality, and we created an open space and a park, which is still existing 40
Still
years
there.
later. And I'm in touch with the community, and I have beautiful learners who communicate regularly and have aspired to great heights in their own fields and careers as well.
So you are in touch with some of the learners that were in your charge when you were still a teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the spirit and the nurturing. Teaching is you nurture children.
Yes, yes. There was something that you said about what you actually teach people, and it's amazing how you growing people, not only food, is the way you described it.
Yes. Presently in the role at Food and Trees for Africa,
Yeah.
it's important. We teach life skills about growing your own food. But in the process of teaching people to grow food, it's their self-confidence, their self-worth, and their self-esteem grows. Because it's not, our programs are not a hand-out mentality.
Yeah.
It's a hand-up, where the training empowers you to become self-reliant. So you grow your food. You have nourishment for your children. You have excess that you sell.
Yeah.
You have enough to share.
Yes.
So it's the growth of people. It's a shift in the way people are starting to think.
Yeah, yeah.
It expands beyond just a food patch. It's understanding the nature. It's understanding your community, where there is this cohesion, where there is people come together to celebrate their lives because they have access to food. They have, our farms are now income generating. The children are involved in the processes as well. We found that at some of the sites where the parents are working on a project, learners come home en route home, they stop at the projects and they engage with what is happening.
Did you find a natural fit then? Because there you were in Chatsworth, you were a primary school teacher. What were you teaching, by the way?
Maths and science.
Maths and science, right. I should have guessed. So maths and science teacher, engaged with the kids. You have extracurricular projects where you are engaging with your environment and you are helping to clean up certain things. You're getting people involved and you're getting their hands into it, right?
Yes, it was very hands-on. It was like a natural transition.
Yeah.
Our children are being educated. The borders of the school needs to be maintained. Our households are now creating a better environment outside the home. And then it went on to food production as well. The households, remember, have very little access to space.
Right.
So we started a concept of a square foot garden.
Oh, really?
Where you can produce adequate food for a family of 5.
Really?
You've got your cabbages, your carrots, and your
Yeah.
lettuce, and your brinjals, and your chilies, all well within the system in which they had access to.
Where then did you make the transition, or at which point did you come across Food and Trees for Africa and you felt as if it was time to change direction in life?
I was a volunteer initially, and when I was teaching in the primary school, Food and Trees for Africa had a program that was targeted at learners, school-going children. It was called the EduPlant program. So initially, the school at which I was teaching, the school was a participant.
Yeah.
And we went through the system. So I'm actually the oldest person in the organization, associated with the organization. And when I used to come up to Johannesburg with learners from Chatsworth to participate in the national competition, it was the most valuable life's lessons where you had youngsters who were being nurtured to understand where the value of the food, where does your food come from?
Yeah, yeah,
And taking care of the environment.
yeah.
That was the override for me. And I taught for 15 years in the mainstream and then had an opportunity to work with special needs learners. Marginalized, often forgotten. And in the in this special needs space, there was an opportunity to develop curriculum for learners other than self-help skills. And I was fortunate to teach children that had multiple disabilities, which included moderate to mild learning disabilities.
That is
autistic.
incredible, because it is a story that is a whole world on its own. the fact that you are working with children with special needs, developing a curriculum that goes with that is incredible. I'm going to pick that up after we take a short break. This is 919 Reality Radio on a Friday night, talking to Bharathi Tugh.
Reality Radio. As real as it gets.
Craving a burger with attitude? The hot chili lovers from Burger King is flame grilled to perfection with a spicy salsa made with Tabasco sauce and crispy onions, all on a chili bun. Bold flavors, fresh ingredients. Grab yours today at Burger King.
We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnerine is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
"919 Goes Green" this Friday night with me, Jack Devnerine, and Bharathi Tugh, environmental activist and somebody interested in food security. I am fascinated by the story of you going to work with children with special needs. Take us back into that. Wasn't that a terrifying challenge on its own?
Special needs learners have a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Unconditional love and their willingness to learn. So it was an ideal opportunity to understand them, and I realized how much the outside meant to these children.
Yeah.
So it was an opportunity to take them outside the classroom and teach them using the natural environment. And fortunately, the environment was very supportive. We developed the curriculum and we exposed the learners to all aspects of agroecology, practically hands-on. And the added experience was children with special needs also need development in various other aspects as well. And that led to the development of a sensory integration therapy facility.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're helping them connect with the environment using their senses.
It was water therapy, it was sand play therapy.
Okay.
The sensory where we had all our herbs growing, whether it was the basil or the lavender. And the transformation that I saw in these learners, the interest.
Yeah.
We started to grow food at the school,
Yeah.
which then they were validated in their capacity to do something.
Yeah.
And subsequently, I worked there for 15 years with special needs learners. And the learners that went through our hands are now in mainstream open labor market, which we are very proud of. And I felt that if this was the platform and which I was impacting on merely 20 children that was under my direct supervision.
Yeah.
So the platform to impact on a national level was when Food and Trees for Africa had established a branch office in KZN, and I managed the branch office, and I transitioned from education into the EduPlant program and managing the Durban branch office, where we were mandated by a municipality to support and train 85 farmers.
Oh, nice. EduPlant is a whole project on its own, right?
EduPlant is a department on its own where we support schools. We are very fortunate in we have the support of Tiger Brands, who presently supports in excess of 300 schools nationally. We have a national footprint.
Yeah.
The learners and the teachers go through a structured program which is aligned to the school curriculum. We understand the education space.
Yeah.
So it was important that what you take to the schools and we get the buy-in from the teachers and they implement what we have taught. So it's aligned with the curriculum. You have the syllabus there. We have content. The teachers are trained alongside the learners and the community.
So you being education associate for Food and Trees for Africa, does that mean that all those 300 and something schools fall under your remit?
Yes, it does. So we monitor very closely the impact we are making. And during so every workshop, our teachers attend, the parents attend, and the learners. They go back. With the support from Tiger Brands, we have educational materials, planting inputs, tools that each school is allocated.
Yeah.
Remember, we work with under-resourced schools. And it's important that you support them in a way that they are able to implement. You don't do a workshop and go back and ask them to implement if there is nothing to work with.
Of course. Which leads to the question, how do you profile the schools that come into the program?
We have a system where we target various areas in a district or a municipality. The schools apply. It is very important for us. We have very stringent selection procedures, and we ensure that people that join the program are committed. We have a buy-in from the management and the parent community.
So the governing body and all that needs to
everybody is part of the system, so that we ensure that whatever impact, it's tangible. So the schools are also taught through their science, or whether it's life orientation in English, it's a cross-curricular implementation, Jack. So it's creating this holistic development of the child.
Yeah. EduPlant, that's the program you're talking about, right? What I'd like to go back into that, but just give me an idea of some of the other projects that are being run through Food and Trees for Africa.
We have our Food Gardens department, which focuses on social development and community development, where we have communities. We have the majority of the communities that are women-led, that are bringing about change. Very empowering stories where they've taken it upon themselves to teach each other. So we come in with support. We have funders that provide training. And the important thing is, with the input resources, there's a structured curriculum that they follow. So when we exit the program, the project members are equipped, they understand their soil, their water management, their harvesting. There's an element of a business skills development as well. So it goes the full loop. We don't leave you with not being able to sustain this project.
I was going through this book that you had given me, and I'm so grateful that you did, because there is a feature in here about the role of women and the challenges that women face, particularly in the African context and in rural areas as well. Because it's up to the woman to see to her family, to do the cooking. She's the one who has to walk, the 5 or 6 kilometers to get to the stream, to fill this heavy container and walk back with it to take care of her family. So there are specific challenges that I think fall to women to have to manage in how they are engaging with the environment and providing food for their families.
It is very important that we understand the impact of climate change. We see it, or often it is punted as something that happens outside there. We in our book that we have launched at COP29, it's called Leading the Change.
Yeah, this is the one, eh? So I'm just going to hold it up here because I found some wonderful little pieces, and I do want to read something from here a little bit later on, but it's an absolute marvelous piece of resource that I hope it just sells out.
It's creating this awareness. Climate change is not in some foreign land. We are experiencing it on a daily basis here. Our project members or people that have told their stories here, it's the social ills, it's domestic violence, because the women have to leave earlier to fetch water from a water source that is drying up because of the unprecedented droughts, followed by flooding. And it is the responsibility of the women to take care of the children. They're living on a floodplain. So if they don't understand what is happening, and that is some of the education that filters in at grassroots levels as well.
I love that. Let's just talk about some of the education that you provide, because you mentioned that you are not only giving them the skills that they need to keep a beautiful garden thriving, but you're also giving them the skills in order to harvest that and then to take it to market and then derive the financial benefit from that, and also to create preserves out of it. So you've expanded its lifespan.
It is important that when the gardens start to flourish, there must be an element of entrepreneurship as well.
Right.
unemployment is massive in the country. So it's not just waiting for an opportunity to be employed. It's let's employ ourselves.
Yes.
So we're having the value adding that is part of the training. We're doing it at our schools. And it's not simply just bottling. It's the branding. It's the marketing. It's what is your price point.
Yeah.
So learners are taught these skills. What is your profit margin? It comes into the life orientation and your accounting skills as well.
Right.
So it's
I love that. So it's fully integrated into the existing school curriculum.
it is. And you get the children to think of these opportunities. You don't have to wait. A grade 7 learner is understanding if I've harvested 10 kilos of carrots, I've supplied some to the nutrition program at the school to add value to the plate. But I also have some that I could bottle. And then you have the creative skills coming in because you're designing a label.
I love that. Yes.
Jack, the implications and the importance of what we're doing is far beyond merely teaching children to grow food.
No, I see that. And you know what's the funniest thing, though? You take me back to my school days. In primary school, early high school years, there was always this thing about, there's the owner of the corner shop, and he needs to cost this product that he's selling, or he's selling sweets, and then he needs to find the best, lowest possible cost in order to maximize profit. And it was always some arbitrary exercise, and you've almost got to create around that example who this person is, and why is he selling those sweets? Why not those chocolates? And you providing an actual example. You providing the real practical in your basket, in your hand, that you grew yourself.
It's a life skill. I think that will be imprinted on the child's memory forever.
Yeah. And these are the kind of skills that we need as well. It's not just what we've created in the existing curriculum. It's about working within your environment, working within your community, and producing a yield that will actually sustain people.
And that is important. It's nutritional value that we bring into their tables as well.
Yeah.
Because the system that we use is based on agroecology and permaculture, which focuses on natural growing systems.
That's important. We didn't go into agroecology. You mentioned it earlier, though, and I wanted to ask, what does that mean, agroecology?
Agroecology essentially is working with your natural systems. You understand your natural systems.
Yeah.
You avoid the use of any chemical inputs.
Oh,
so
that's important. Hey.
That's important to us. We avoid chemical inputs. So whatever children are taught to do their own composting. We have access to kraal manure. So these are additives, soil additives that are important in what we do. It's like using your on-site resources. What is close to you? What is it you can do? Rather than creating barriers to success, there's your opportunity. Use what you have.
So when it comes to the use of fertilizers and things like that, then do you support that, or is that not something you would use?
It's something that we avoid.
Yeah.
Unless it's naturally produced.
Okay. Yeah. And then isn't that where you find your challenges, though? Because you want to create a thriving garden, and you've got everything else, but you don't have water that's close by, for example. So how then do you work within your concept of agroecology? How do you help with that?
There's one of the content that we teach is water management. And water management is just not a source of municipal supply. We work with communities that rely heavily on the streams that are close by. And we also have introduced a concept of grey water harvesting.
Okay.
So grey water harvesting is essentially using your water that you would prep your food with, wash your vegetables, bathing water, which we then go through a system of filtration, a simple system, whether it's through a banana patch or gravel, and that water can be used. And a simple example I'd like to give you, I visit schools extensively, and I visited a school on the South Coast. We arrived at the school, and there were tons of plastic bottles lined up at the school. And that school had the most brilliant garden, no access to water. The learners used to carry water to school daily,
really? Wow.
water the gardens, en route, back home, pick up your 2 liters bottles.
Yeah.
And the next day, it's the routine that sets in. So it becomes a lifestyle. We make a plan.
Yeah.
Use
I
your
like
grey
that.
water.
And that it just shows how invested they are as well. And it's wonderful when I hear these stories. And there are lots more stories to come because this is Reality Radio. You're listening on 919. And we are talking to Bharathi Tugh. My name is Jack Devnarayan. We're taking a break and we're back after this.
South Africa, this is a moment you won't want to miss. Join us on 919 FM for the first ever CSI conference happening live this Wednesday, November the 20th. It's 3 hours of inspiring conversation with the nation's top social impact leaders and groundbreaking CSI brands who are reshaping our future. And if you want to be part of it, tune into 919 FM and let's build a better South Africa together. That's Wednesday, November the 20th. Don't miss out.
919 has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, programming that is not harmful to children and that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. If you think we're not living up to that code, you can inform the BCCSA. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa to PO Box 412-365, Craig Hall 2024, or email the BCCSA at napsa.co.za. For more information, visit the bccsa.co.za.
And we're back. It is Reality Radio on a Friday night with me, Jack Devnarayan, in conversation tonight with Bharathi Tugh. I'm going to read from this wonderful book that you guys have produced. When does the book, is it for sale or does it become available, accessible? Where?
It will become accessible shortly. We are launching this at the COP29.
Fantastic. All right, good news, good news. This is something that I read. It really caught my eye and I want to just go through it with you. It's by a poet or a contributor named Ngwa Niba. It's called The Fortress. Negligence and greed, the enemies, have succeeded in every way to kill the core of our very existence. The Congo Basin forest, a giant carbon sink, is now in a desolate state of abandon, entrenched by man's love for its resources. Once it stood like a giant fortress, sheltering and providing for every being. Lo, its wings have been clipped. Communities, tree and wildlife species have been swallowed in the murk. The environment is in an endless sea of tears. Now that we know we are dying, with every tear the environment drops. When the trees no longer wave gladly at us, what are we going to do? What a beautiful piece. That was Ngwa Niba, and it's in the book, Leading the Change, African Voices in Climate Action. Is this a kind of sentiment that you come across regularly as an activist for climate change?
Jack, this is the constant.
Mm-hmm.
This year we had the opportunity to work. We've developed curriculum on climate change, which we've introduced to grade 10, 11 and 12 learners across the country. And we had an opportunity to work with 1,200 learners in Gauteng. And one of the aspects that we asked the learners to do post our training was to come up with poetry.
Yeah.
Grade 10 learners, all formerly or all based in the township areas of Gauteng. Brilliant gems, and the sentiments are exactly the same. Whether it's walking through a dust bowl to school, whether going close to day zero with water. So these are things that are resonating with the souls of the youngsters. And we are trying to bridge the gap and create critical thinking around the concept of climate change. Often people find it a difficult concept to understand, but we have brought it to a level where our children are exposed to the science behind climate change, how it impacts directly at local level, and the importance of them understanding the phenomenon of climate change, the crisis, and what is the opportunity for mitigation strategies.
Of course, yeah.
And it's coming from the children that we are working with.
I think, you raise an important point about critical thinking skills, and I'm amazed that you have successfully woven this into the curriculum. before we talk a bit about that, I'd just like to touch on the fact that this is a poem. And as you say, there are people, kids, learners, who care so deeply about this that they are moved to express themselves through some artistic expression so that they can describe what it feels like to work, live, be within this environment. I think the book describes it as artivism.
Yes.
Which is something I actually heard from Kumi
Naidu. Yes, Kumi Naidu.
Yeah, and he describes it so beautifully, and it's such a powerful personal project. So can you just take me through some of the ways in which learners have engaged with artivism?
Part of the program that we do is the creative writing aspect.
Okay.
There's one aspect where we ask them to come up with posters.
Yeah.
Then the African Climate Reality Project, which is hosted by Food and Trees for Africa, has these beautiful murals that have been painted in Gauteng.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then we have some of the artwork in the book as well.
Yeah.
And other than them understanding that, there's the aspect of mitigation. So we've added on the food security aspect in terms of the climate change as well. So when these projects are run at schools, the learners have an opportunity to plant trees, to even set up vegetable gardens.
Yeah. I like the idea. Let's go into that then. You're talking about mitigation, and if you're talking about mitigation of environmental destruction, you know that there are those elements that have been trying for years now. It's an entire lobby group that's trying to underplay the effects of industrialization on the environment. And this is when we especially need critical thinking skills, so that you can separate the myth from the reality, so that you can see for yourself, you can measure for yourself the environmental degradation that affects us all. How have you introduced critical thinking to help people to see the truth from the agenda of the lobbyists?
The important aspect is the way we present the materials that we have. We have structured materials developed. We've taken newspaper articles.
Yeah.
We've given journalism comes in as well.
Right, exactly.
Because we look at climate change not just as something happening out there. We've introduced climate change through various lenses. One is journalism. Very importantly, what is critical, true journalism, to distinguish between fake news and what is good news, real news. And learners are presented with examples of, read the article. Do you think this is fake news? It's comprehension skills that come in.
Yes, again, of course.
And then we're looking at it through civil society.
Yeah.
That one of the other lenses we present climate change is through civil society, gender, which is important, and community, youth.
Absolutely. And
So you have this opportunity to look at climate change not just on a tunnel vision. Because these are the 5 lenses that we've presented, it creates a sense of awareness. You take what you understand and look at your exact situation where you are. For example, we also have some docu-series that we have filmed locally.
Okay.
So it's not outside. It's not sitting in some American land somewhere in the north. It's right here. Whether it's in Cape Town, whether it's in the Durban South Basin, or whether it's in the deep rural areas of KZN. These are important narratives to share. It's related. It's right here in front of us. We are experiencing it on a daily basis. So it's something that we need to take stock of. We stand up and we observe, understand, and act.
I can imagine that. It always needs action. That's part of lobbying as well. Part of your the work that you do in mobilizing support and making sure that the curriculum survives and thrives. Don't you find, and this is just a personal reflection, but when I look at the work of the lobbyists that represent the agendas and the interests of big business that basically maximize their profits out of environmental degradation. Deforestation is a good example of that. But when you look at how these arguments are presented, you can see that they hide behind this anonymous presence.
Anonymity.
Yeah, the anonymity for them is where they present their arguments at a distance so that you never really identify who is saying this. What is the brand? There's always some kind of an association or a think tank or some research group that doesn't have any provenance. And you always say, but an insightful mind and an incisive mind would be able to pick up that this is nonsense.
And that is the importance of education, Jack.
Right.
And we capture the learners at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
We give them the opportunity to read. Comprehension skills come out in our training as well. The ability to assess, is this right?
Yeah.
What are we being fed? We must be able to distinguish what is absolutely right, what is impacting on the individual.
Yes. What are some of the other skills that come into it then? Because you've given them the hard skills, including some of the soft skills that come into marketing of my product that I've made at home or at school. And then you also added that there's a business element to it as well, where what does it mean to take this product into the marketplace? So those skills also come into it. And what happens at that from there onwards?
Suppose they are taken to a training which is called our business box training, which is absolutely detailed. It starts from the point of inception of your business.
Yeah.
What is your business model? There's exercises on market research. Who's your competition in the area?
Yeah.
And we have opportunities where there are gate sales. There are spaza shops on the road. There's opportunities to take it down one of your other retailers.
Yeah.
And it's the whole system where you need to value. We also do an aspect of grading your products.
Yeah.
So you grade your vegetables and where are you? So these are important skills. It's not just growing the food. What is it I need to do to ensure it's sustainable, it's income generation?
I don't know how much you enjoy current affairs, but certainly a story that I'm following with great interest is the spaza shops, those that are distributing food stuff that is contaminated by agricultural toxins and fertilizers. And that is simply the top of our agenda right now in South Africa. And we've also got to conscientize our learners and people involved in all your programs into how to make sure that there's safety in the way that the food is being made, stored, and sold.
Food safety, contaminated food, these are huge topics that are coming up, and especially it's impacted on the lives of children. And I think that is the important thing for schools to play a role, parents as well. What is the nutritional value of what you're feeding your children? And in the program that we run with our schools and the communities across the country, it's the importance of focusing on natural hygiene and no chemicals.
This is interesting to me because, I have a background in law enforcement. So I'm always very sensitive to people need to make a living, but also if you're violating city bylaws in the way you are selling your foodstuffs can always take you down the wrong path. And I'm looking now at how government is trying to address this, because if you fail to enforce city bylaws, it's very difficult to pull it back, which is kind of the space that we are in now in government's attempts to try and halt the sale of contaminated food. But there's so much to discuss here, and we go on. In fact, I really want to find out what's coming up next in Bharathi's life for the next big project. That's going to come up after this short break.
They say nothing ever lasts. But what about the Fast and Furious franchise? Or showing Anaconda 2 for Friday Action Night? Or how Brooke is still forgiving Ridge Forrester like 50 seasons in? And then there's Burger King's Whopper Meal deal, which is still going strong. So get your hands on 2 flame-grilled Whoppers topped with the freshest ingredients, plus 2 portions of crispy golden fries and 2 bottomless drinks for only 130 Rand. Only at Burger King, where good things do last.
We all love a good story. Stories of love and life. Stories that entertain and inspire. And the best stories are the ones that happen to be true. Every Friday night, Jack Devnarine is live in conversation with an iconic South African personality who shares the true stories that shape their remarkable lives. Join us for Reality Radio, as real as it gets. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Friday night, only on 919.
It is Reality Radio on a Friday night with me, Jack Devnarine, talking about the environment and climate change with Bharathi Tugh. Bharathi, we mentioned the role of journalism, and I'm going to refer to this amazing book once again. I picked up an incredible quote by Kevin Bloom, a contributor to Daily Maverick from Johannesburg, and he's quoted as saying here, "All journalism is climate journalism. This is the ultimate lens. Our politics, our economics, and our cultural disagreements all take place within this framework." That is such a profound insight. I just thought I had to share that with you. There's something that you were reflecting on earlier also, talking about the World Health Organization made reference to something that they have flagged in the form of mental health being a critical area and high on their agenda. How does it sit on their agenda and why?
Within the space of work situations in terms of youngsters having mental ailments or issues that they cannot deal with, and I feel that we need to take a holistic approach to life. What is the values that we are training our children? What are we imparting? Not just the children, the adults as well. So I'm very passionate about environment and human spirit and well-being. So Food and Trees for Africa had supported a project in the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal.
Where I'm from, incidentally.
Great stuff. We will pick up later on that.
Okay, let's.
So we have the Sri Vishwananda Nilayar. It's situated in the heart of Duisburg, Stanger. And this is a beautiful, lush area where the focus is on the spiritual development of individuals. That's the focus. But beyond the focus of the spiritual development, how do we address the emotional, the physical, and the mental well-being of individuals? So coming up in December, there's the multi-pronged approach to one's spirituality. Is how do you connect with Mother Earth? So there's a project where we have already developed a food garden. We have access to water. We've planted about 600 trees already.
Already? 600 trees?
Already.
Okay, then this is all in Duisburg.
All at Duisburg in KwaZulu. And the element of environmental consciousness, awareness. So the potential to develop far beyond, to ensure that people that visit, people that share the space, it's a sacred space where you have an opportunity to indulge in conscious walking, meditative practices, yoga. You connecting on an eco level far beyond just growing food and greening. Although the greening aspects is your carbon offset. You're creating an environment, you're creating natural corridors for biodiversity.
You describe them as green corridors, right?
Yes.
That's beautiful. It was interesting to me, and we're going to get back into this incredible Garden of Eden that you've created. But I remember also reading in your biography that you are a carbon footprint analyst as well.
Yes, years ago I had an opportunity to train as a carbon footprint analyst. And it's an opportunity to see how we as individuals can offset. So Sri Vishwananda Nilayar is a space where we can accommodate thousands of trees. We can create broadwalks. People can come in for forest washing. It's a huge concept in Japan.
Really?
It creates mental balance in one. It's awareness of yourself, where you go deep within yourself to understand who you are and how do you give back. My journey is almost at an end on Earth. And what do we leave? What is the legacy we leave?
Yeah.
It is something you create where generations to come, Jack, will benefit from the food security, from the spiritual aspects, your opportunity to come and connect with nature.
So this is a place where people can commune with nature in a space that is allowed to thrive in its natural habitat, where you are planting things, you are planting trees, hundreds of trees, creating green corridors and spaces where you can commune in a natural forest space also.
And the organization has also gone beyond just merely creating a green space. It's a social cohesion. It's nation building that is taking place at the site already.
Yes.
So we're bringing in the communities. You come and you learn a skill. You replicate not just at the site. You go and you replicate in your household. Imagine creating a whole hub of homesteads that are food secure.
Absolutely. And all of them connecting to the space where that becomes a resource for them as well.
Yes. And the opportunities about it's where communities come together, where people come together. We co-create. It's a collaborative effort, Jack.
Yeah.
And I think if that becomes the blueprint, we're creating a food forest there, a forest that will produce for generations to come.
So this is, how is it funded?
We look at opportunities for corporates to fund in.
Okay, yeah.
And Food and Trees for Africa has supported a fair bit of the project already.
Yeah.
And we look at outside intervention. We're having a summer festival, create awareness about the space, the ability of individuals to come there.
Yeah.
And lend your service.
So communities can be involved on a voluntary basis?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you like them to participate in? What would you ask them to do? What's most needed?
They can come into the space. First, you experience the space for your own personal well-being. I always believe you come in, you connect.
Yeah.
And your generosity will flow from what you experience at the site.
I like that because there isn't an immediate expectation of, well, now that you're here, please wash this, chop that, clean that, and then put your money in the box there. That is the kind of thing that can really turn people away.
Yes, we want people to, there must be a change within oneself.
Yeah.
And the space allows, because of the diversity, because of the tiered interventions that are taking place as well. So that allows you to come into the space if you prefer doing a conscious walk. And at the end of it, you have harvested some of the vegetables we have on site, or we hoping to harvest fruit, an abundance of fruit in a few years' time.
Yeah.
You're welcome to harvest.
I love that. So are you still in a planting phase?
We're still in a planting phase. So what would your experience be, Jack?
I would love to visit because, as I said, I'm from the area. And look, I can't claim to be, to have very powerful spiritual insights, but I totally understand social cohesion. And I would love for that to be a communal experience. For me, at some point, to connect with that space and to connect with other people, people from the local community, and to actually physically be involved in something that's going to benefit the space.
Great. Then I have a challenge for you.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, we're getting a challenge live on reality radio, Matabs.
And you don't have an opportunity
wow.
to say no.
Okay, this sounds amazing. Okay, what's your challenge?
8th of December.
Yeah.
What would you like to do? Jack gyms, he has powerful energy.
Yeah.
Physical strength. You can start building, you can start planting.
Oh, wow. Okay, do you need somebody to dig a hole to plant a tree? Because I bet you I can do that really well.
Not one. 108?
108. 108 holes to plant trees in.
To plant 108 trees by the end of the day.
That is a challenge. I accept.
Great.
I accept your challenge. 108. Do I get a big spade or a small spade?
We do not believe in hard labor. We'll make life very easy for you. So you come back and you give and you give and you continue to give like everybody else that comes to the site.
Okay, so this is going to be a date. I can see this challenge working because that's a Sunday, I think it is.
It's Sunday.
Okay, Sunday the 8th.
Yes.
Right, so that means we're going to have reality radio here in Johannesburg on the 6th. I'm going to come down, fly down to KZN, and then we're going to connect. You're going to take me to this incredible space because you really sold it well to me. Thank you. And then I'm going to make sure I'm in my overalls and in my work boots, and then I'm going to dig. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get to 108, but I'm going to give it a good shot.
Perfect. Don't forget the sunblock and your hat.
Right.
And remember, you have to offset your carbon. You're traveling down by plane.
Oh, right. Okay. Give me a chance here. I don't know what my carbon footprint is. I think my carbon footprint is about a size 8.5 for now.
Definitely not. I would take the carbon calculator. We'd calculate your carbon.
Are we going to do that on site?
On site.
Okay, I love that. What is the place called?
It's the Sri Vishwananda Nilayar. It's in Duisburg.
All right, so we'll call it the Duisburg site. Okay?
The Duisburg site.
Because I know I'm going to trip over that name.
The Duisburg site where you'd come. You'd probably have to forego your gym subscription for a while.
I can do that because we're doing something real. That's a challenge. Challenge accepted. I'm going to be coming down on Sunday, the 8th of December, to the Duisburg site. I'm going to be digging a lot of the 108 holes that are required in order for the tree planting project to continue on site. So, an open invitation to all my friends listening right now that if you are in the area, in the greater Durban area, in the KwaZulu region, come and join us. And I'll even let you monitor my work while measuring my carbon footprint. How's that?
Perfect, Jack. Perfect. And we'd love to see all Jack's friends on site.
This is going to be really exciting. I would love to do this.
Looking forward to it, Jack.
So tell me what else is going on that site, because you described, actually what you described to me, or the vision I'm having in my head now is a place of, it's almost like a sanctuary.
We're looking at creating a well-being sanctuary.
Yeah.
So they will have an opportunity to come. There will be food at some point where we are planning these. This is very much in the developmental stages.
Yeah.
But we're looking at incremental changes on the site. Eventually, we would have, with the ashram, all the associated activities, a meditation zone, your conscious walking paths, your forest bathing, access to abundant food.
Yeah.
Possibly other industries to thrive there as well.
That's lovely. Okay, so I have a concern also because I'm born Hindu, but I'm a non-practicing Hindu. So is that going to be an obstacle to me appreciating the space to its fullness? Because I also can't imagine a space like this being exclusive to any particular community, culture, religion, or language group.
No, it's open to everyone.
Good.
Because you have an opportunity, like I mentioned previously, to be who you are in the space.
Well, on that Sunday, I will be one with my spade.
Perfect. Jack with his spade. Or Jack of Spades, maybe. Or Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades.
I love it. That sounds amazing. It is a wonderful challenge. And you and I are going to pick this up after the show, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jack.
And to participate. And it's been an incredible hour. You are an incredible person. Congratulations on the work that you and Food
and Trees for Africa.
Food and Trees for Africa, as you have on your school uniform. Amazing work. A wonderful team of people just empowering youngsters, the environment, and leading the good fight against climate change. So that's it for Reality Radio. My name is Jack Devnarine. Thank you so much to Bharathi Tugh. You have a wonderful weekend. We're going to see you the next Friday when we join you again for Reality Radio. Thank you so much for joining us.